Hello, fellow Voyagers. Jess here with Odyssey Human, here today to share with you the one belief that will break through any and all resistance. I guarantee it, so watch all the way to the end to fully grasp this concept and apply it in your life. Welcome to the channel. This is a place where we explore the outer reaches of human consciousness and experience so that you can become the best version of yourself, the version that you want to be, the version that you desire, and have the things happen in your life that you want. You can manifest them easily, effortlessly, and powerfully. Welcome. So glad you're here. If that sounds good to you, please subscribe. Happy to have you on the channel. So I want to start this with a story, and I will get to the belief. So bear with me. I work in a position where I get to receive the front lines communications from a lot of different people who are experiencing a strange phenomena, weird phenomena in their life. And I mean, I have heard just about every story possible, from the entire gamut of, I'm being targeted by a remote viewer and, they're being malicious to me, to I can heal people with one thought, to I have sparkles coming out of my skin and they fall into the carpet and I catch them and put them in a little bag. You can actually see them, they're rainbow. And I don't doubt for a second that whatever these folks are experiencing is incredibly real to them. They are experiencing it where they're standing. And because none of them, I never pick up the phone and think, oh, this person is crazy, or because that's never the experience. It sounds, for them, it's very logical, it's very matter of fact, and I have no judgment towards that. But what I am thinking is like, wow, it's amazing the things that we can create as manifestors, because really, the things that they're experiencing are an effect of what they're believing about themselves, what they're believing about the world, and the heaven or hell that can be generated from those beliefs. Because some of their stories are really, there's different emotional qualities to all of them. Some of them are very fearful and terrifying, and they sound horrific. To live with that in your life, it sounds horrific. Whereas some of them sound magical and fantastical and amazing and, have kind of this positive spin where it's like, wow, I can't imagine that the world that you're experiencing right now. And so this moral of the story is what we can create essentially anything. Manifestation is very real. When you look at not only these people's experiences, but think of the weird and unusual and unexplainable things that you have experienced in your life. You're like, whoa, I'd never expected that. I never saw it coming. That blows my mind. Or even, some of these stories that you hear of other people. The monks in Tibet or wherever they are who can essentially turn into their rainbow body after 13 years of meditating. Or, stories of people who fall into an icy lake and are dead for 30 minutes, but somehow are, resuscitated. I mean, just the entire gamut of everything weird and unusual and out of place that you've either heard about, read about, heard from someone else, experienced yourself, really goes to show you that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And so that is kind of the belief that we need to get behind. And I'm going to explain in just a minute how we get behind that belief and how we leverage it to break through resistance. So let's back up. What is resistance? So when we're manifesting, essentially we are going to generate, our subconscious mind will generate whatever we're consciously believing, thinking, feeling. Our subconscious takes it and spits it back out into our sensory reality, and it becomes these feedback loops. Resistance happens when we have a disagreement between our heart and our mind. And this is why we get mixed results when we're trying to affect something. We're trying to put a reality into that feedback loop, right? But when we say something that we don't believe to be true about ourselves, we experience resistance. So it just feels untrue to us. We say it and we get this kind of icky feeling in our body, like, ugh, yeah, I know that's not true for me. Or, I can't get fully behind that. That is the physical experience of resistance. What it is I like to think of it as our heart and our mind are having a disagreement. We're telling two different stories. Our heart is telling a story of, I want this. This would make me so happy. You know, this longing and desire for something and wanting to step into a certain situation, outcome, reality, you know, state of being. But the mind is saying, that's not how things are, that's not how things go, that's not what I'm seeing in 3D reality. It's that logical piece that's like, well, this is how it's always been, so we can't change, or this is just how people are. These very limiting stories that the mind has created to help us kind of survive in the world, but also that keep us really limited. It's some limiting story of like, well, this is just how it is. It is a logical truth that the mind is imposing when the heart is saying, yeah, but I really want this. I really want this. That's essentially the essence of resistance. So we're saying an affirmation and we want it, our heart wants it to be true, but our mind is like, yeah, but that's not been true for you in the past, or that's going to be really hard to achieve, or right, the logic kicks in and it's trying to talk us out of what we want. Or telling us we can't have it, or telling us, you know, having us believe that that can never be our truth, right? It's out of our grasp, out of our reach for whatever reason. And so any negative emotion, I mean, this is also the essence of negative emotion. I mean, when you think about when you're experiencing a situation and you have negative emotion come up, it's because the mind is telling you a limiting story about what is happening. The mind is spinning a truth and telling you, you know, but that's only one perception, right? The reality of the situation is that it's infinite. The situation is infinite. You are infinite. You're infinite. And when you're having negative emotion come up, you're denying that infinite part of you. And that's why it feels bad. And so that's our little mechanism to know, like, oh, I'm an infinite being, but right now I'm believing this super limiting story that's squeezing me into a box that's so uncomfortable, and I'm feeling anger, sadness, grief, pain, whatever it is, suffering. I'm suffering in some way because I'm in this tiny little box of perception, when really the reality, I could expand into the infinite nature of myself, of the things that I'm seeing, because everything I'm seeing, experiencing, feeling is me. It's all you. You're an infinite being. I'm an infinite being. And so this is how, let's weave this back in. In order to break resistance, in order to break through that resistance, right? We have a negative emotion come up because our mind is telling a really limiting story about how this person is just that way, and there's nothing that we can do to change it, or the situation is never going to work out for me, or you can feel the tightness of that, the smallness of that. And that's never the actual truth. The actual truth is you are infinite. You're infinite. And thus the situation is infinite, because the situation is you. It's your perception of your own infinity. And so all possibilities exist for you. How do you feel when I just said that? What came up for you? All possibilities exist for you. Did you feel resistance? Because if you did, if you felt resistance, again, it's coming from a place where you believe more in the limitations you've experienced, the hardships and the adversity and things not working out, and the smallness of what has happened in the past, which is also a limited perception, right? Our memories are limited perceptions. Again, because the actual nature of things always is you are always infinite. You never stop being infinite. And when we feel negative emotion, it's because we're looking at a situation in a limited way. We're telling a limited story. And as soon as you can back up into when that negative emotion hits you and you can say, whoa, all possibilities exist, or anything is possible. I like anything is possible. Pick a phrase that's natural for you, that you would naturally say or think. For me, it's anything's possible. Anything is possible because your logical mind can get behind that. You know, think about all the weird stuff you've seen and felt and heard, and anything is possible. There's a piece of your logical mind that can believe that statement, or maybe the statement is, you never know what's going to happen. Anything is possible. You know, or I accept the infinite nature of reality in this situation. And you can see how when you're having a negative emotion, a negative thought, you're fixating on a problem, something is wrong, when you can immediately start, use it as a mantra, anything is possible. Anything is possible here. You're going to feel immediate relief. And the more and more you can believe that, and the more and more you can get your logical, that thinking part of your mind into that space of anything is possible right now. I'm looking at this from a limited perspective, and that's what's causing my grief, my suffering, my pain. That will immediately break through the resistance. And you're going to find that your world is going to continue to expand and get bigger, and more things, unusual, amazing things are going to happen because you're not only staying in that belief of anything is possible, but that belief is going to override any of these other little limiting stories. Let me give you a quick example. I just had my birthday a few days ago, and I always hear from one of my best friends on my birthday. She always calls me. This year she didn't. And instead of going into a story of, she forgot about me, I'm not worthy, all of the things that we can spiral into, I just thought to myself, anything is possible. I'm sure there's anything is possible. I relaxed into that. And I actually reached out to her a day or two later, and I just said, hey, I hope everything's okay. I missed hearing from you. And she, guess what? Anything was possible. In staying in that belief of anything is possible, instead of fixating on a story that was really limiting and felt bad and would hurt me and make me suffer, I relaxed into anything is possible. And she shared with me that she had actually called and left a voicemail, but she had left a voicemail on an old number that I didn't even realize she still had. It was a number that I had maybe 5-6 years ago. She had called that number instead and left a voicemail. And so it was really interesting, like, wow, I would have never guessed that that was what happened. But because I stayed in anything is possible, instead of torturing myself with limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, painful thoughts, I allowed the reality to shape around anything is possible. I am worthy and loved and paid attention to, and stayed in that. And that was what was created in my reality. So there is a great example of how you can do this practically on a daily basis. The belief that breaks through all resistance is anything is possible. You never know what can happen. I allow the infinite nature of the situation. I'm allowing it. I'm stepping into it. I'm embracing the infinity of me, of myself. I am infinite and my situations are infinite. So any of those beliefs, use them and they will break through resistance every time. If you 100% believe them, if you 100% get behind them, and let that be your dominant thought, dominant belief. So thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you later. Bye.